Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to give you an update on our progress as we work to repair and reopen the Brent Spence Bridge in northern Kentucky, which sustained heavy damage early Wednesday morning from a serious crash and resulting fire. Because of the need to exercise caution during the ongoing COVID pandemic, I'm here in the capital in Frankfurt. But because of the importance of this bridge, Jim Gray, who's our Secretary of Transportation, is on the ground in Covington with his team. He has been on the bridge today, and in just a minute, we're going to go to him for a substantive update. There will be certainly some limitations with the information he can share today, given that it is evolving and inspections are ongoing. But I think he can at least give us some preliminary thoughts. I want to start with the good news. It's hard to have good news with an accident like this, but as you know, it shut not just the Brent Spence Bridge, but it also shut river traffic. So the good news is I'm happy to report that KYTC, in coordination with the U.S. Coast Guard, has given the okay to reopen the river to commercial traffic. So the river, as of right now, is reopened. It is an important step. And it allows for commercial activity in the shipping trade to continue down a heavily used route that is important for our economy. So that's the good news. As I said this morning, when I gave a brief update on our efforts to inspect damage, I want to emphasize our need for patience and also planning for your personal and business disruption that's going to be occurring probably at least over the next several weeks. We need a little patience as well until we can give you an official timeline. This assessment of the bridge, this inspection, takes a little bit of time. We talked about some of the different things that have to occur before we can know the exact amount of damage and what it'll take to repair it. But as Secretary Gray will tell you, a lot of that process is already going on in real time. We all understand the importance of this bridge and the entire I-71 and I-75 corridor. It connects northern Kentucky to Cincinnati over the mighty Ohio River, but it's more than that. It's a key connection for people in both of those communities, and it is a major critical artery to the economy of our country. So we are committed, fully committed, to reopening this bridge as quickly as we can, provided that it is fully safe for everyone that would cross it. Remember the incident that occurred yesterday morning? A two-vehicle crash sparked an extremely intense fire, which is going to leave us with a complicated evaluation and a complicated repair. But as we are quickly working, moving as fast as possible, we've had really great partnerships. It's working seamlessly with both Ohio officials. I talked to Governor DeWine just a little bit ago, as well as federal officials. I had a chance to talk with Secretary Chow just yesterday, and all those teams are working really well together. I think Secretary Gray will have a little more on that. Fixing the Brent Spence Bridge is going to take some time. It's going to take some patience, but we are working as quickly as we can. But again, certainly for the coming weeks, especially as you look at what this looked like, be prepared for disruption. Think about your ability, especially to work from home with COVID-19. Think about changing the times that you would otherwise be on the road if you need to cross the river. Plan your routes. The more planning you will do, the more thoughtful you will be about it in your personal and professional life, the easier the disruption will be. But our goal in communicating, the way that we're communicating, is to ensure that you know that we are working, and we are going to provide you every bit of information as soon as we have accurate data. I want to thank the emergency crews who are working on the scene and who worked all through last night to remove debris on the crash site. You can see here what some of these inspections require. And we got to make sure that those individuals and this individual has the time to do this safely. These are our neighbors. They live in your community, and it is a big team that's there right now. Again, Secretary Gray will talk about the number of KYTC individuals, those from Ohio, but also consultants who are experts in this area that we brought in immediately. So for more on that and a look ahead, I will pass it over to Transportation Cabinet Secretary Jim Gray, who is in Covington after being on the bridge just a short time ago. Jim?
Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. As the governor said, I've been on site just today and consulting with our engineers, our Kentucky Transportation Cabinet engineers, our consulting engineers, and our inspectors. And Governor, I think you said it best, that considering the conditions that you just now showed on the slides, considering those conditions, things could have been actually much worse. And as you said, given these conditions, the debris cleanup, the inspection work that is underway now, given these really challenging conditions, things could have been worse, but we are looking at weeks, perhaps more than a month. We are uncertain yet at this time. It's not fully clear, but we know that under the best case, we have repairs that will take weeks to execute. So it's important that our businesses, our commercial traffic, and our residents, those who are traveling in Northern Kentucky, prepare for this as we go downstream. Governor mentioned the news about the river being reopened to traffic, to commercial, and to principally commercial traffic, of course, but recreational as well. That's below the bridge, which you're seeing here. The river has now been reopened by the Kentucky Transportation Department and by the U.S. Coast Guard. Important that that commercial corridor is now reopened. So we're working on multiple tracks, frankly, at once. We're working in real time, and I'll say more about that in a moment. But I want everyone to know that our team is on the ground. The team is working, frankly, full steam ahead and safely. We've got a lot of partners in this project. I would say to you that literally, while we have 20 inspectors on the bridge itself today, there are many behind the scenes in support capacities addressing this challenging project for us. Our partners include the Federal Highway Administration and the Ohio Department of Transportation, the U.S. Coast Guard, our emergency operations folks, and our teams. I was in the Emergency Operations Center. In fact, that's where I am speaking with you from here right now. So here in Kenton County, we've got personnel that are working side by side. We, of course, as I mentioned already, our own engineers from the Transportation Cabinet and their bridge inspectors. We've got State Highway Engineer James Ballinger, big part of this group. Our local District 6 Highway Engineer, Chief Highway Engineer Bob Yeager, who has been on the job for many years, right here in the Covington Highway District. And in addition, we've enlisted the expertise of national firms who are specialists in conditions just like this, bridge repair conditions. And that includes Michael Baker International, Burgess and Nyepel, Stantec, and Palmer Engineering. So these engineering firms, this is to illustrate to you that we are taking vigorous steps with the most talented engineers who are specialists in conditions like this in order to assess the damage, design the repairs, and get the bridge reopened to traffic. Now, I mentioned earlier that the project is moving on multiple tracks. in real time, as the governor said. We're not waiting, for example, fully on test results before considering, thinking about, planning on the next steps. We're doing these activities, the assessment, the inspection, the design of the repairs, the engagement of contractors, material suppliers, the procurement of these activities. We're doing all of this on a parallel track. Yes, inspection is step one. We must know just how badly and severely the Brent Spence was damaged by the fire, what kind of repairs will be needed. But we're already engaged in securing, as I said, the supplies, the vendors, the contractors that we know will be needed, regardless of the specific details of the eventual repair work. At the same time, our inspection team includes the design team. We will be designing the repair as we get inspection reports from point to point on the bridge itself. Now, I mentioned that we have team members from the Federal Highway Administration. Those folks I want to give a special shout out to, because I feel like Todd Inman, who is a Kentucky native, frankly, Todd Inman, a Kentucky native, is Chief of Staff to Secretary Lane Chow. And Todd has been on point. I feel like Todd is not just on speed dial, but he is right here. He is present helping us. And we want to thank him and his team for that support and for that help. We will be applying, Kentucky will be applying for federal support for the project under terms of the emergency declaration signed by Governor Beshear yesterday. Now, a related issue has recently arisen. As some of you know, the old and historic Roebling Bridge, just up the river from us here, was closed to vehicle traffic last night by the Covington Police Department. That was after a number of heavy commercial vehicles actually disregarded the posted 11-ton weight limit and the warning signs, and they drove onto the bridge. Now, we have enlisted the help of the Kentucky Association of Motor Carriers to get the word out to commercial carriers about the importance of observing the weight restrictions when seeking an alternate route while the Brent Spence is closed. We're now working with officials on both sides of the river to get the Roebling reopened to passenger vehicles, but it will require police enforcement on both the Ohio and the Kentucky sides of the river. We all appreciate, as the governor said, that traffic patterns are seriously disrupted today. I want the public to know that we understand this, and we will work tirelessly. Let me say that again. We are working tirelessly to get the Brent Spence back in operation. We know just how important this is to the people of Northern Kentucky and to the commercial corridor and the economy through this area. So the next steps for us are really reasonably simple. Now, it's not easy at all to make things simple, but let me tell you, the next steps for us are these: final inspections and testing, finalize the design and the repair plan, and get to work. Okay, thank you very much. And Governor, I believe that we'll take questions now.
Thank you, Secretary Gray. Also want to quickly show the alternate routes that we're asking people to take during this closure. It can be found on the KYTC website, also on all of its social media. Again, use these tools. Make sure you plan ahead, plan for tomorrow. If you're going to work, please work virtually right now, though, and how we're dealing with COVID. But I think that today the takeaways are river traffic is now open, especially to commercial shipping. Very important for the region, for the country. That we are on site working in real time, not just to do the inspection, but already working on designing of repairs, and that we do believe we are looking at best weeks as opposed to just days on the repairs, but could have been a lot worse. More detailed information is going to have to wait until we get more detailed analysis coming in, but we will continue to communicate to ensure that everybody in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati knows what we know. All right, so I will open it up to questions. I think the first one comes from WDRB. Marcus, are you there? All right, we'll come back. We'll move to the next one, Spectrum News 1 in Northern Kentucky. Okay, we'll just pause a moment to let the technology work. Let's see if we have WVXU FM.
Hi, it's Hannah Weingartner with WVXU. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can't hear you. And my apologies for mispronouncing your name earlier.
That's quite all right. My apologies for my neighbor just blowing in my background here. Two quick questions. Do we have a cause for the crash yet? And secondarily, I know it's early, but any idea what kind of costs we're looking at here in terms of the repairs and everything?
Let's turn those over to Secretary Gray. I believe costs are too early, certainly to have any approximation of, but we do have a commitment from the federal government to help in that realm. The emergency declaration that we have put out opens up a stream of funding, and right now what we hear is that they certainly want to help given this emergency. Jim?
Sure. Yeah, Governor, you said it well. This is one of those examples of what we are doing in real time. We're doing multiple activities, which include the estimating of the repairs that will be required for the project. Of course, in the ordinary sequence of things is we have to get the inspection completed and then work on the design, and the design then influence the estimated costs. We are working on all of these activities as we speak, but as you said, it's not complete yet. We are working on it vigorously, relentlessly, tirelessly working on these activities.
All right, we'll go to Tom Latek, and we'll come back for everybody else if it's on our end.
Okay, I'm here. Go back to the first part of the previous question, and that is, has law enforcement been able to determine the cause of the crash?
Tom, can you repeat it? We're having a hard time hearing and here at technical.
Okay, certainly. Has law enforcement determined the cause of the crash itself?
I don't have details from law enforcement on the determination of the crash. We'll check with Jim, but I believe it would be typically too early even in that investigation. Jim?
To determine that the accident investigation is still underway, and it's still premature to describe any of the details. They're simply not yet available.
Next, we'll go to the Cincinnati Enquirer.
bridge to open up some of the portions of Kentucky, and can you explain the reason why it's been closed and how the percentage of the change in
Secretary Gray, I believe that's about the other closures outside of just the bridge, expectations moving forward about whether that could change and reasons behind it. Again, we apologize for the technical issues. Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Governor, we are examining the closures that are today have been made, and we recognize the disruption that represents for the businesses, especially, and the residents of the areas impacted. And we will be making decisions on the reopenings as the time allows us to, as new data and new information gives us that opportunity.
And I think the extra piece I would add is as the traffic flows begin to change, we need to make sure that everybody out there knows that this bridge is going to be closed and that we don't have a significant amount of heavy traffic going down right up to it and then having to ultimately turn around, creating other issues there in Northern Kentucky or in Cincinnati for that matter. All right, WLWT 5.
That's for cats.
Well, our apologies out there to those that we're trying to get through to ask questions. If you can send them to our office, we will get back to you promptly. In the age of COVID, sometimes these things happen. We will work to make sure that the next update, which we don't currently have scheduled, but we will let you know that we'll have a better ability to respond in real time to the questions. But we are committed to getting you the answers because we know that the citizens of Kentucky and Ohio need them, and you are going to transmit that information. So again, this is yet another update. We'll be continuing to provide them to you. Our goal is to be transparent, but also to let people know what they're looking at and how long and the steps we're going to take to get there. We're going to continue working hard. Thank you all very much.